just the sum of every high and every low. Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. Ooh, oh, you say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe the only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth, in you I find my identity. Ooh, oh, you say I love when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I'm weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short. When I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe. Taking all I have and now I'm laying it at your feet. You'll have every failure, God. You'll have every victory. Ooh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I am strong when I think I am weak. You say I am held when I am falling short. When I don't belong, oh, you say I'm yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe, oh, I believe. Good morning, everyone. I just had to start out with that song this morning. I love that song. I love how it is such a great reminder to us of who we are and who God says we are and what all of that means to us. So this week I played a different song. I played Overcomer by Mendisa, and that I love that. So I want to ask you a few questions as we get started. Have you ever allowed your circumstances to define who you are? I have. One study said our identity is tied to whatever and whoever we give our hearts to. Now, that was a study by some psychologists, and really think about that. Our identity is tied to whatever and whoever we give our hearts to. Whose heart? Who does your heart belong to? Man. When we aren't giving our heart completely to the Lord, we begin to lose ourselves. I've been there. I don't know about you. Have you been there before? I've been there. When we aren't doing those things, when we aren't having our Bible studies, when we aren't praying, when we aren't asking God to help us get through whatever it is that is going on, man, we need to stop. Who am I at that point? Am I Kim trying to just do it all myself, man, what are the things we can lose ourselves in? What are some things we can lose ourselves in? Children, are you wrapped up in your children's lives? Are you wrapped up in all of the things that they have going on? And you know, all those things are awesome and great. My phone just went off to tell me that one of my niece's ball game just started. And I watch her on this app. Well, watch both of them on this cool app that my brother told me about. And they travel all the time. Do some of us get so wrapped up in what our kids are doing that we forget what we should be doing? What about our jobs? Whether you work for yourself or you work for work for someone else, are you so consumed by that job that you take your eyes off of God? I've been there. I've been there recently where I was so focused on, I had things that had to be done at work, at my job. And I was working lots and lots and lots of hours. And I was also putting and pouring tons of hours into a second job, my individual business that I am trying to build. And I took my eyes off of God for a while. I knew he was there. I knew I prayed almost every day, but was I focused on him, or was I letting that take the place of him? And the time I should be spending with him, I was spending doing things for those two things. What about our relationships? Have you ever been in a relationship that pulled you away from God, or became so consuming of your life that God got pushed to the side? I've been there. What about just circumstances? Our circumstances, just stuff we're going through. Maybe it's somebody else's circumstances that we're consumed by, and it starts creating our identity. Do you become their fixer, and now that's your identity? Man, sometimes we need to be reminded that we're children of God and we are who he says we are. That's why I wanted to play that song this morning by Lauren Daigle. You say. So one blog post I read while I was gathering information for this study, she talks about how music helps her remind herself of these things. And she shared 12 songs. I've shared some of those with you already, and you're gonna be getting a song once a week. And I really want you to, when that song comes out, that post comes out with a song in it, I really want you to listen to the song. Comment below that song what it reminded you of, what it brought back to you, what it taught you, because we can learn from these songs. James 4:8a says, "Come near to God and he will come near to you." She says that music helps her do this. Singing songs, whether I sound good or not, usually played very loudly, draws me closer to God. And they are good reminders. Sometimes I need to listen to things like that on my way, on my drive, on my way to work in the mornings. Our on-campus Sunday school class, I've talked about this. And so if any of them watch this and they hear me say this, they may make some comments. And don't think bad of me if you hear some of the things that they said. I'm really working on it. So this song that we just listened to, I keep fighting voices in my head that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. You ever been told that? Have you ever been told that you're not good enough? Have you ever been told you'll never measure up? Have you ever been told you shouldn't do this because you're going to be a very good wife and mother, but I really don't think you're college material. I was told that, and it defined me. Even when I went to college and I was in college and I was doing well my freshman year, I played that tape over and over, and it began to define me. And it did define me for the rest of my college career. And I did not do as well as I probably could have, should have, because I had been defined by something someone else said to me. And it was, I kept telling myself, I'm not enough. And there were lies in my head that said I would never measure up. While in college, I decided it came time for us to vote for class officers one year. And I said to some people that I wanted to run for class president. And I was told by somebody pretty close to me, I don't think you've got what it takes to be a president of our class. You probably don't need to run for any office. That defined me. That became my identity. And I believed it. And to this day, I regret not putting myself out there. Yeah, maybe I would have not been voted president. Maybe I wouldn't have been voted any class officer. But I'll never know now. And sometimes that still haunts me. Are you defined? Do you grab onto something in your past and that becomes your identity? The chorus of this song says, you say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I'm loved when I think I'm weak. You say I am held when I'm falling short. When I don't belong, you say I'm yours. We need to remember those lines right there. I need to remember those lines because all of those other things are not what forms my identity. The last line of the chorus says this, and I believe what you say of me. I believe. When you hear those words, do you believe it? Sometimes I don't, and I have to be reminded. Verse 2 of this song is very short, and it says, the only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you, I find my worth. In you, I find my identity. That is where we find our identity. And we need to remember all of the names that he calls us. And overcomer is the one we're going to talk about today. If you're anything like me, you've allowed yourself to continue to listen to those voices in your mind. You know the ones, like I just talked about, the ones that replay for me. Now I'm a little bit better at fighting those voices. And sometimes I just have to stop and say, okay, God, I got to get rid of these voices in my head. Help me do that. Think about this. You know, I gave you a couple of examples from my life. You know, those things that replay in your head that were said to you. Maybe it was a classmate who said you weren't good enough. Maybe it was a parent who told you you would never amount to anything. Maybe it's you telling yourself terrible things and calling yourself certain names. Maybe you're trying to measure up to what you think the cultural norm is. Have we taken our eyes off of Jesus? Because he doesn't think these horrible things of us. Absolutely not. He sees what we can do through him. He sees us as chosen. He loves us. He sees you as the most beautiful person in the world. I loved this quote that I read in one of the pieces that I was reading over getting ready for this. And she says, you are a masterpiece created for a purpose. Live in that truth and never forget who you are. The world is going to tell us that our identity is based on our work, our talents, our extracurricular activities, and our background. Have you ever introduced yourself by saying your name and what you do for a living? Hi, my name is Kim and I work at. Hi, my name is Kim and I am. Have you ever found yourself changing a part of you to fit in a mold set by part of the world you're trying to fit into? We are not our jobs, our culture, or even our relationships. We are made in the image of Christ, and we are called to so much more than we can imagine. What do you imagine is best for you? Think about that. What do you imagine is best for you? What accomplishments do you feel would make you the best you? How much money do you need to have in the bank to be the best you? What about the parents you have? If they were different, would you have been a better you? What about the part of the country or world you were born and raised in? If it was different, would you have been a better you? I know someone who says to this day, if I had not moved to this place, I would have been. And that person lives under that identity still to this day. And this particular event, moving to this place from this place, happened many, many years ago. None of these things matter. None of these things matter. And we must remind ourselves daily of who we are and who we belong to. And we must stand firm in who God says that we are. So the song I posted this week, Overcomer by Mandisa, the first verse, the chorus, and the last verse of this song say this: staring at a stop sign, watching people drive by, T-Mac on the radio, got so much on your mind, nothing's really going right, looking for a ray of hope. Have you ever been there? Have you ever been just sitting somewhere and you're just staring out into space and you're just trying to figure out what is going through your head and how do I sort all of this out? Whatever, in the chorus, whatever it is you may be going through, I know he's not going to let it get the best of you. You're an overcomer. Stay in the fight till the final round. You're not going under because God is holding you right now. Wow. Whatever you're going through, you're not going under. Do you ever feel like you're drowning? I do sometimes. I feel like everything around me is just taking over. But guess what? Through God, because he's holding me right now, I'm going to be an overcomer. You might be down for a moment, the song says, feeling like it's hopeless. That's when he reminds you you're an overcomer. The same man, the great I am, the one who overcame death, he's living inside of you. So hold tight, fix your eyes on the one who holds your life. There's nothing he can't do. He's telling you you're an overcomer. Stay in the fight till the final round. You're not going under because God is holding you right now. You might be down for a moment, feeling like it's hopeless. That's when he reminds you that you're an overcomer. The Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of overcomer is a person who overcomes something, one who succeeds in dealing with or gaining control of some problem or difficulty. God says we're an overcomer. So the definition of an overcomer is a person who overcomes something, one who succeeds in dealing with or gaining control of some problem or difficulty. God's telling us that we're an overcomer and we're going to be able to gain control of whatever's going on with his help. Thankfully, we have him to help us with these things. So the Urban Dictionary says the definition of overcomer is a warrior, someone who battles no matter what the task is ahead, someone that not only regains strength from a weakness, but also sees life in a way no others can. Wow, we are given the most awesome gift of seeing things in a way no others can, because we can see things through these changed eyes that God gives us. Dictionary.com has two definitions: a person who prevails in spite of opposition, difficulties, weakness. Second definition: a person who defeats someone or something in a conflict or struggle. God says we're an overcomer, which means with his power and his help, we are going to be these definitions. If you feel like right now things are not going well, and I don't know how I'm going to get out of this, I don't know what's going to happen next, how am I going to fix this situation? God's going to help us. Maybe he's going to help us fix our situation by getting away from someone else's problem and not being a fixer. So if you named yourself fixer, who am I? I'm a fixer. Who am I? I've got these problems. Who am I? I'm a nobody, because that's what everybody told me in the past. Who am I? I'm regretful because I didn't step out of my comfort zone and I listened to people in my past. Who am I? I'm the person who allows my past to still control me. Who am I? I'm the person who lets relationships control me. Who am I? I'm the person who allows my job to control me. Who am I? I'm the person who continues to do and do and do and add more and add more and add more to my plate so that I don't have to deal with my own issues. Have you ever been one of those people? A post is going to come out later this morning, probably in the next few minutes, that says, "Hello, my name is." And remember that song I played last week, "Hello, my name is," and it lists all these things. What are some things that people may begin to call themselves? Who am I? What are those things? I'm going to finish with a couple of verses I want to leave you with. John 16:33 says, "I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world." He's already overcome the world, and we are going to have trouble in this world. But he says, take heart. I've overcome the world, and in me you can have peace. 1 John 5:4 says, "For everyone born of God overcomes the world." This is the victory that has overcome the world, even our faith. Jeremiah 1:19, "They will fight against you, but will not overcome you. For I am with you and will rescue you, declares the Lord." 1 John 4:4, "You, dear children, are from God and have overcome them, because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world." Who am I? Who does God say I am? He says I'm an overcomer. Are there things, situations, people, problems, issues looming around you? Are you wondering how in the world you're going to get through it? Well, even how you're even going to start to face it? because you don't know yet how in the world I'm even going to face this problem, much less how I'm going to get through it. We need to be reminded that through Christ, we are overcomers. The verses that I just read remind us that God has already overcome the world, and we have victory that we will face fights, but we will not be overcome. That we are from God, and the one who lives in us is greater than the one who is in the world. God says we are overcomers. God, thank you so much for this reminder. Thank you so much for these verses. Thank you so much for giving people these songs so that we can sing them, we can be reminded, and they can draw us closer to you. Thank you so much for this day. Thank you for all of the things that you are going to help us deal with. Help us with all of these things that we have going on, God. There are so many people in this group, and every one of them there's 322 people in the group, and there are 322 different sets of things going on right now. And God, I pray right now that you will just help us to come to you when those things get a little difficult, when life just gets to us sometimes, and we need to sit down and just stop and ask you for help. Thank you for that. Thank you for reminding us that we can be overcomers. We are overcomers. Not that we can be, but you've told us in your word that we are overcomers, and we can deal with our situations. We can take control of our situations, but only with your help. God, I ask all of these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen. I hope you guys have an awesome day. I have lots to do today, and I hope that you do too. If you need the rest today, I hope you do get that rest. I'm going to go open my app so I can see what's happening with my two nieces' ball games today. I've only gotten a notification for one of them, so I'm not sure if the other one's playing, but it's so exciting, isn't it, to see things going on in our families' lives. So I hope you have an awesome day. If you need the rest, I hope you get the rest. If you've got things to get accomplished today, I hope that you will stop and ask God to give you the strength to be an overcomer of all the things that have to get done today. I'll see you guys next week, and be checking out the posts during the week.